is going on, everybody, and welcome to the 1% podcast. We've had a month break, but we are back, and no one else I can think of better than having Will Buxton on the podcast. So a lot of people that listen to this podcast are potentially fitness related. So they're probably like, who is this dude? So who is
I
Will?
ask myself that question every day. Hello, mate. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a Formula One journalist, commentator, broadcaster. If you've watched Drive to Survive on Netflix, you will have seen my face sort of explaining the basics of the sport, and generally getting myself in trouble sometimes for saying things that will wind up one fan base and delight another part of the fan base. So yeah, that's been really fun. But yeah, for 20 years I've been a motor racing journalist and broadcaster. Really lucky to live my dream, do the job that I've always wanted to do, and somehow sort of turn that into a career. And that's me. That's what I do.
No, it's really interesting because obviously, like, it was just so random. Like, I just got a random form filled in online, and I said, because obviously, like, you look at everyone before you kind of like jump on a call with them and things like that, and I was like, oh, he's got like a decent, like, in a sense, following and things like that. He's well established in what he does, and I was like, I don't know who he is. And then I actually showed your profile to my mom. I was like, how do you not know who that is? And I was like, oh shit. But yeah, so what kind of like, what was, because you've been in Formula One, like we've had this conversation, but you've been in Formula One for a long time. What was a long time? Like, why Formula One? Like,
yeah, because, you know, as you sort of say through that, it's a very niche sport still. You know, it's amazing to think the viewership of Formula One is vast. It's every year it has, you know, for its Grand Prix, it has pretty much just under the viewership of the World Cup and the Olympics. So they're the top two sporting broadcasts. Underneath the Olympics and the World Cup, the next globally watched sport is Formula One.
Fuck.
And you think those two events happen every 4 years.
Yeah.
This happens every other weekend, sometimes more now. You know, we've got a 23 race calendar. So it's a massive, massive sport. And yet its interest globally remains very, very niche. But as a kid, I fell in love with it. It wasn't that my dad loved it or anything, or my mates loved it. You know, my mates certainly didn't love it. I think it was just from a young age, I think, going around to godparents' houses or aunts and uncles' houses. And every Sunday afternoon on the BBC, on grandstands, there seemed to be a Grand Prix. So we'd have our Sunday lunch, and you'd finish Sunday lunch, and then it was quite a traditional family setup. And then you'd sort of retire and sit in the living room with your folks and whatever. And the Formula One would just be on TV. And I think from a young age, I just picked up this kind of fascination with it, because it was during the 1980s, and you had the height of, you know, these screaming engines and these crazy nimble little cars that would just fly around the circuit, and they sounded and they looked terrifying. And then you realize that in the middle of all this insanity, there's a person who is controlling it. And I've always sort of described it as like sort of, you know, taking the tiger out for a ride. You're controlling this wild beast. And I fell in love with Ayrton Senna. He was my hero, you know, this bright yellow helmet in this red and white car flying through the, you know, under the trees where would have been like Monza or Hockenheim or somewhere like that. And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the visceral nature of the sport, the sound, the sight, and the excitement and the danger of it as well. And Senna was killed when I was 13. And I'd always seen this guy as immortal, you know, and your sports stars don't drop down dead. None of my mates understood it because they all like football, and footballers didn't drop down dead. It was a really weird thing to kind of come to terms with, you know, and I'd lost members of family, like grandparents and stuff like that. But this hit hard, because it was somebody that I just thought, I never imagined them dying. And my dad bought me my first copy of Autosport magazine that week, and Motoring News. And in the words that I read, I found a means by which I could sort of come to understand the gravity of it, and realize that it wasn't just me that was upset about it. It was a whole world of fans and journalists and people involved with the sport that were hurting just as much as me. And I knew that day what I wanted to do with my life, which was I wanted to make that same nerdy kid who loved this thing that nobody else really understood or really liked. I wanted them to feel like they were accepted and they were normal. So that was it. Age 13, I wanted to be a Formula One journalist, and worked my way through, college, university, studied politics, because at the time, media studies and journalism degrees weren't really seen as being all that serious.
No.
So I studied politics because it would teach me to be, an argumentative little shit. But it would teach me to sort of form my own conclusions. It would teach me to write. It would teach me to research, all the things I'd need to become a journalist. And I wrote my politics thesis on the politics of Formula One, which my lecturers hated and tried to fail me. And of course, because it wasn't on European fiscal policy or something like that. And I sent it to the guys at Formula One magazine, who said, "We love it. Come and do a couple of weeks work experience." And at the end of those 2 weeks work experience after university, my last day, I turned up with a pillow and a sleeping bag, and they said, "What's that for?" And I said, "I'm not leaving." They said, "Don't worry, we weren't going to ask you to. You've got a full-time job." And that was 20 years ago. And I've just been bouncing from kind of job to job. And over the years, I fell into television completely accidentally. Completely by mistake. And for 10 years, I broadcast to the United States with Speed Channel and NBC.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing a lot of sort of the digital content. We live in this crazy world. They always say that television is where journalism goes to die. So what moving from journalism to television and now from television to the internet means for my journalistic credibility, I have no idea. But yeah, that's kind of the path. That's the career, mate.
And do you know what I love? Like talking to you and like your passion for something is exactly the same. And it's like you had this direction where you wanted to go. Like you're like, I just love this. I'm just going to go with it. And so many doors opened for you on the way. But you just leaped to every opportunity. And that's like, even our first conversation we ever had together, like the passion behind it is mind-blowing. Like it's absolutely insane. So what have you found, like, because obviously you've interviewed, like, in a sense, the best athletes in the world. Like generally, you like Lewis Hamilton, but whoever.
And I genuinely believe they are. A lot of people think it's just sitting in your car going for a drive. Daniel Ricciardo was on the Ellen DeGeneres show in the US this week, and she asked that the question about, what is it that, I know what it's like to drive. I get in my car and I drive to the supermarket. And a lot of people think it's just, it's going for a Sunday afternoon drive to your nan's house, and it's the most physical. I think it's one of the greatest sporting exploits that exists in the world. You have to have the endurance of a marathon runner. You have to have the strength and the speed of a boxer. You have to have mental agility. Your core strength is massive. Your upper body strength has to be huge. In a Grand Prix, the drivers will lose between 2 to 3 kilos of body weight, sometimes up to 4 kilos of body weight. And that's because they're operating at 150 BPM plus for 90 minutes solid in heats exceeding 45 to 50 degrees centigrade, wearing fire resistant underwear, Nomex overalls, balaclava, helmet. You're strapped into this racing car. You become part of the car. So every millimeter intolerance in the road feels like a mallet smashing against the base of your spine. You're hurtling down the start finish straight at Monza at 230 miles an hour plus. You hit the anchors, and at that point you're undergoing 5G of lateral deceleration. So your head, which is the only part of you that's not secured to the car, with the helmet on, suddenly weighs 5 times as much as it should. So your neck strength has to be huge, but you don't understand then the forces that are exerted on your internal organs, because they all fly to the front of your chest. Your eyes bulge because the force is literally pulling them. The tears in the ducts of your eyes are pulled out and kind of splash against the visor inside the helmet, and that's just decelerating down from like 230 down to about 40-50 kilometers an hour for the first corner. You turn in and the G-force is suddenly pushing you to the side. You turn, you hit the throttle, and you're pushed back again. And this is one corner of say on average 17, 18 corners that you will circulate in a minute and a half, 70 times in 90 minutes, racing millimeters away from your rivals, knowing that any mistake you make won't just lead to the end of your race, but could lead to the end of your life. And that's a sport.
Yeah. But even like the way that you talk about it then, like the fact that you know because no one else would see it like that. Like no one knows that the ins and outs of it like you do, which is amazing. And what do you think, like, because obviously you've interviewed a lot of these guys and things like that. What's like, because they are the best, like you say, like generally it's some of the, like I always think them, and I always think of like rowers and CrossFitters and things like that, some of the best all-round athletes in the world. What's one thing like they all share in common? Like you've interviewed, and this can come from a physical standpoint and a mindset. Like what's that kind of one thing that you think they've all share in common?
Oh, it's absolute belief. It's almost an arrogance. You have to believe you're the best. Every driver in Formula One believes that they've got a world championship in them. Every single driver, whether they're qualifying 20th or on pole, believes they're better than Lewis Hamilton. So even Nikita Mazepin, who's qualifying his car 20th, believes he's better than Lewis Hamilton. And he has to believe that, because if he doesn't have that core belief, he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be there. And that's it. It is that ultimate kind of confidence or faith in yourself that you have what it takes to be the very best, and also that you deserve to be there. And some drivers struggle with it, and you watch them toil and you watch them struggle, and it's a sport that doesn't really have a parachute network. So if you're struggling, until very recently, there wasn't really a support network that existed for drivers if they really struggled. And Red Bull has been the worst for this. They have drivers through the years, and if they weren't doing okay, they didn't support them and say, well, how can we get out of you? They just dropped them.
Wow.
So 20, 21, they could be left with nothing. Their dream, their entire life. And these kids are racing to 5. Shit. All they know is racing from the age of 5. And you suddenly get to the age of 19, 20, and you're told you're not good enough, you're not going to make it. That's it. How do you live with that? How do you come back from that? It's really harsh, really, really difficult. But Gasly on that red program, and came through the ranks, made it all the way up to the top team, and within half a season was basically just told, "Nah, you're not cutting it, mate," and was kicked out. Out of Red Bull and demoted to their junior team. So he was in, but with
Oh, your audio's gone a little bit there, bud.
I'll tell you what that mic. Sorry, I'll just go with the computer mic. Is that still okay?
Yeah.
The computer mic. Okay. I'll go back to the start. So I think of a guy like Pierre Gasly, who was part of the Red Bull program and was coming up through the ranks, was promoted to Formula One with their junior team, and then made it to the big team, was Max Verstappen's teammate. And after half a season, they're like, well, he's not pushing Max, he's not getting the same results, and he's not doing what we want him to, so we're going to demote him back to the junior team again. And it crushed him. It absolutely crushed him. Factor into that as well, he lost his best friend in a horrible crash that same weekend, was killed in an accident. And his whole life started to unravel. But he picked himself up and he pulled himself back together. And then a year, almost to the day from that accident and him being demoted down to the junior team, he won his first Grand Prix.
It's fucking crazy, isn't it?
So there is this incredible resilience that exists within these guys. I think they're amazing. But also the ability to look beyond the danger,
yes,
to sort of almost go faster through the danger, and to not think about it. I remember interviewing Jackie Stewart. So Jackie Stewart, the very famous triple world champion from the 1970s, and he lost one of his best friends in an accident at the Italian Grand Prix in 1970, and he got into the car crying his eyes out, pulled his helmet on, drove the fastest lap he'd ever driven at Monza, got back into the pits, took his helmet off, and burst back into tears again. They're not wired like we are. They're not normal.
Yeah.
Whether it's a total disassociation, I'm not sure. But people often say that racing drivers, to be a great racing driver, you have to have an almost singularly unique lack of imagination. Because if you could possibly foresee all the things that could happen, you'd never get into the car. But there is this incredible mindset that exists, but also how they almost operate within an unconscious part of their brain. So they talk about being in the zone, and the zone for them isn't just a place of focus. It's when the outside world almost seems to slow down.
Yeah.
and everything is coming at them slower. And the reason that their reactions look as fast as they do, and the reason that they can pick up the rear end of the car, stepping out, correct it at speed and drive through it where you or I would already be in the barrier, is because they're working in the unconscious part of their brain. And these are super highways that are created when they're 5, 6, 7 years old, and they're on the go-kart tracks of the world and making their ways through the early stages of the sport. Their super highways have already gone to the library, pulled out the book with the knowledge and the information that they need from decades of experience.
Yeah.
And the unconscious part of their brain has clicked in and is already reacting to it. Whereas you and me would be the conscious part of our brain, and we're scrabbling like, shit, what do we do?
Fuck, bang.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's all of that. It's, you know, there's nature to an extent, there's nurture massively, you know, and the fact that it's repetition as well for them, you know, the years and the years and the years of driving, you know, every car at different speeds on the circuits. You know that if you get to a certain place and the car's doing something, they intrinsically and naturally know how to react to it.
It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And what from a training aspect as well, because all we see is them drive Silverstone on a Sunday morning, right? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
So what, obviously behind the scenes, what's their training look like? Because I don't even know what their training looks like and things like that, like away from the track.
It's constant. It's a lot of cardio, obviously, because they need that endurance. There's a lot of core strength that goes on, because the driving position is, if you imagine lying in the bath with your feet on the taps, that's the driving position.
Is it?
And then hold, yeah. So
you're lying down pretty much.
You're kind of, well, you're on your coccyx.
Jesus.
So the bottom of your back, where your legs kink up, and then go flat to where you're.
Oh wow.
The pedals. So the pedals are where the taps are, and you're lying on the bath. Yeah. With your back on the back part of the bath.
Jesus.
That's your driving position. So if you imagine the Formula One car, where you see the helmet, and then from behind the helmet, that's all engine. Yeah. Behind the driver. But in front of the driver, there's the nose, and the feet go in the nose and all the way down pretty much to where the front suspension and the front wheels are. And that's what's called a survival shell. So everything on a Formula One car is designed to break away in an accident. It's designed to absorb the energy. So the engine is designed to break off. The side pods have impact structures, so that if there's a side impact, it absorbs all the energy, so that the human inside the survival shell doesn't absorb the energy of the impact. It's everything around will take that energy and disperse it. The nose itself is a front impact structure. So everything within that survival shell, the driver within the shell, should be fine. That's their position. So if you imagine what strength
they're doing a crunch for like 90 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But then you also need, so the strength in your left leg has to be incredible, because when it's not just hitting you know, in your road car, you go throttle, and then your right foot just naturally moves. Your right foot naturally moves onto the brake, and it's very soft. And you know, if you ever accidentally, in the old days when we had proper cars with 3 pedals, if you accidentally moved your left foot off the clutch onto the brake by accident and you hit it, and you almost went through the windscreen. Yeah. Because the force you were using on the clutch was so much heavier than it was on the brake. These guys, when they hit the brake, it's literally like it's a hard hit, because you're using carbon brakes, carbon brake discs, carbon pads, and you have to hit that brake to slow the car down as late as you possibly can. But within that, you need to have a feel for the brake, that if you start to lock the tire, you can gently ease off, but keep the car slowing down. So you have to ease it off to keep the rotation in the tire.
Fucking hell.
But slow the thing down. So the strength, but also the feel in your left leg is massively important. Upper body, chest is important. Arms, incredibly in Formula One, aren't, because they have power steering. So you don't see stocky, big Formula One drivers. They look like, I mean, they're they're so thin. And then they have to worry about weight, because the more weight a driver can lose, the more weight the teams have to play in the car to move the ballast around the car to get it to its minimum weight limit. So the designers in Formula One always joke that a perfect driver would be about 5'4" and weigh 45 kilos. But racing drivers on average, you know, they're about 70 kilos, 75 is a heavy driver.
That's still quite a light guy though, really.
They're skinny. They're really skinny, and their muscle mass, it's lean, but it's not defined. If you see a racing driver like with the top off, you know, going training or on the beach or whatever, they're not defined. Even Lewis Hamilton is not.
I think that's the thing, because obviously he's got his other campaign, so he's done some topless stuff, and then you see him quite a lot, but he is quite he's ripped, but he's just skinny ripped, right? Yeah, exactly. But it's about building the muscles that you need 100%, and
not having any extra additional weight anywhere, and that includes muscle mass in parts of the body that you don't use. IndyCar is a completely different scenario. Those cars don't have power steering, so the guys really bulk up, and you know,
because they got to swing it around, haven't they? Pretty much
very stocky, you know, because they've really got to muscle the car. So for each different racing category, you have to build different types of muscle, and as you know, that doesn't happen overnight. So if you suddenly change category mid-season, you can't just build that muscle out of nowhere. Same with the neck muscles. You know, racing drivers, it's head and neck, and the neck is as wide
as your head,
you know, as their head. But you don't. Racing drivers aren't inverted V's.
No,
they're straight
blocks. Yeah,
they're blocks, skinny blocks.
Wow, that's crazy, man. Even just talking about it now, you're like, now I'm like, because that's the thing is like when it's on every Sunday, that's all you see on people doing. So now I'm going to be like, when I watch it now, I'm like, shit, now I actually understand what's going on.
Well, it's the amazing thing was the last Grand Prix in Austin, Texas, you know, and I'm doing the post-race show and I'm waiting for the guys to come and do the interviews and all of that. And it took ages for the guys to come out because it was so much hotter in Austin than we were expecting. Sergio Perez lost his drinks bottle actually didn't have it, I don't think, from race start. And he was ill as well. He had like a gastric thing. And so by lap 20, he was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't carry on. I'm done. I've got nothing. And he nailed it, you know, and he nailed the whole race. Shit. And you think, how do you do that? You know, and I've known drivers shit themselves in the race. You know, if you need a toilet, you have to pee yourself because there's nowhere else to go. I've known drivers puke in their helmets in the middle of the race, and they just carry on. Just keep going.
That's that typical thing though. That's that athlete mentality. It's like, I know people that have like, could be anything, like you torn a bicep and things like that, or for rugby players and football players are a great example. And they finish a game and you're, oh, by the way, you've torn your hamstring. And it's like, I don't care. The adrenaline and things like that. But also it's very different then, because it's like, well, actually, like football players, you tore your hamstring, but you can just stop. Like that, you can't stop. Otherwise, if you just stop or thing like, or if you're in the middle of a car going 200 miles an hour, you'll die if you just stop. Like that's it. Like you have to finish through, sort of thing. That's nuts. And what kind of like transferring it onto you is like, what made you want to kind of get into the fitness scene as well? Because obviously you reached out and things like that. What made you? I think a lot of this is like, because you have this mindset as well. Like even coaching you have this mindset of Formula One. Like even from your own point of view, from how you run yourself as a business, a very successful business, and now onto your kind of health and fitness journey. What was that turning point for you? Like,
honestly, mate, it was almost kind of a point of desperation, because I've tried for so long to get myself healthy or get myself to a point where I'm kind of happy with how I look. And I guess I think it's interesting, the metric that we use to determine our happiness. And for me, it wasn't about how I felt, it was about how I looked. And I wasn't happy with how I looked. I've always been like quite a skinny guy. But I realized I was hugely overweight for me. I wasn't happy. I really wasn't healthy. My brain was not in a good space. The last 2 years with COVID have been very, very hard for everybody. but I'd struggled a lot with anxiety and my mental health. I think over lockdown, I'd been drinking way too much. I'd been eating shit just because it was easy.
Comfort, yeah.
Yeah, comfort, and that's it. You don't feel well, so you comfort eat. You just, and you think, oh, then I'll get back on it, and you never do. But I've never been one for going to the gym, like regimented going to the gym, because honestly, it just bored the shit out of me. I couldn't find a place. I couldn't find a space where I felt comfortable. I remember when I was a kid, I used to love cross-country running. I hated every other sport. Like, I wasn't any good at rugby. My mum said that she'd never seen somebody run so fast on a rugby field in the opposite direction to the ball. I was crap at football. I was rubbish at cricket. Like, every sport. I loved squash and I loved cross-country running. They were the two things that I used to really enjoy as a kid. But then you get into adult life and, I don't know, life just kind of disappears. It shoots off. And I tried to do, apps and things. I'd signed up for the Chris Hemsworth app, the center fit thing that he does.
Yeah.
And, I'd stick to the routine for like a week, and then I'd get to day like 10 and be like, oh, I'll just miss today. And then day 11 would go by and I'm like, and then you realize you've missed a week, and then you get back into it. And then they're sort of shouting at you through the thing, like, come on, you can do it. And you're just like, you don't know me. Like, you're just shouting at a screen. And I'd start laughing. And then I couldn't take it seriously. So I'd give up. And also, I don't know, I think, you live in an Instagrammable world, and I'd start following trainers and looking at them and just thinking, I'm never going to attain that body. There's you standing there saying, here's all these tricks and you need to do this, and you've got a certain body type, so I need to tell you what type of body type you've got to do this special plan or eat these special foods or do all of this kind of thing, and you need to take this supplement and that supplement, and then there's that minefield, and you're like, shit, I remember once I read like everything on what I should have, and so I was getting up in the morning and there was this like leucine and I can't remember, but so I had like
every pill and supplement going.
I looked like a pharmacy, right, in my kitchen. And before I'd even thought about what I was putting in my body in terms of what I was eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it was, am I sticking to my regimented times, of am I having all these stupid
pills and bottles and whatever it is,
at the right time? It wasn't doing me any good. But that's what I thought I needed to do, because I didn't have any guidance, and it's just a minefield, because if you don't know, well, where do you start? It's like trying to learn Russian without a textbook, and without anybody speaking to you that knows the language. It's just sitting in an empty space thinking, right, I need to learn Russian. Without realizing that it's a different alphabet. And
so true.
But you can't do it unless you have the guidance and somebody that speaks it, who can talk to you and get you in gently. And I think that's where I struggled. I would last a week, 2 weeks maximum, and then just fall off. But I hit a really low point this year around kind of May time, where everything just sort of imploded. And I thought, you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to do something different. And just through being on Instagram and following various accounts, you popped up, and I started following you, because I was like, this guy seems kind of cool. And I would watch your stories and how you were talking, and I'm like, this guy seems like a guy I can, like, who'd be one of my mates. Like, he seems like a guy who'd be easy to talk to. And what you were talking about with 1%, and what you were talking about in terms of setting processes in place. And also I looked at the photographs that you put up of some of the transformations, and what was great is they were real. It wasn't like, here's Mr. Beanpole, and then in 6 weeks time here's Mr. Bodybuilder of the Year 2021. It was very, very real. The first photo was like, hey, that guy looks like me. And then very realistically, 8 months later, here's this guy now. And I'm like, that's the kind of body I'd really like. And that looks attainable from where that is to that is. So that's why I talk too much, but that's why I reached out.
Good. This is all about you anyway, so it's fine. But no, I think that what was nice is that we related to a few things. And I think the biggest one is that I remember actually when you told me about your anxiety and you told me that you had an anxiety attack, I actually saw the picture that you posted because you told me that you had to pull on the side of the road. It happened on the road, right? And that was it, like proper anxiety attack. And that was one thing that was really nice to talk to you about, because I've said this to hundreds of people in consultations. I'm like, I generally don't care about the health and like the fucking fitness and diet plan. I don't care about that, because that sort of stuff is very easy to learn. Like I can teach you that, so that's fine. But it's the mindset thing. It's like your life is extremely busy, all this sort of stuff. So it's like, dude, like if you can work out 3 times a week and go to the gym for 3 hours a week, that's perfect. That's 3 hours. What are we doing in the other 180 hours a week about looking after ourselves? And this comes down to everything from your mindset, because if your mindset's in a good, like exactly the same as Formula One, if you believe you can, you will.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we can look after your mind and make sure, actually like reassure you that, because we had this conversation last week, was it last week or the week before? Like, it feels like we're lacking clarity, we're struggling. It's like, cool, bro, it's absolutely fine. But actually, what are you doing now that you weren't a couple of months ago?
Yeah.
All the right things. So when life feels like it's just against you and things like that, because obviously you had lots of personal stuff going on as well. And it just feels like you just keep getting hit. And it's just like, fuck off. And let me just try and achieve what I want to achieve. But actually, to reassure that you are moving forward in the right direction, like drinking water, like making smarter choices when you're on the track and things. There you go. Making smarter choices when you're on the track and things like that. And I remember you just being like, oh, like when you're in the States and because of COVID, you couldn't actually get out the hotels. You had to get deliveries and things like that. It's just, there's so much we can control away from just the gym.
Yeah. But this is it. And this is what I've learned over the last, how long has it been? 4 and a bit months, 5 months.
Yeah. It's got to be.
You know, is everything that's extraneous to the gym and, you know, that side of it. And it was fascinating. It's really fascinating. So if you remember, like the early month, I was like, so are we going to change up what we're doing in the gym? And you're like, no, just keep it constant. Like that, just keep that constant, keep that simple. And we've not changed really what we've done this entire time, but it's the mindset, and it's changing how you think about food and what you're ordering. And, you know, I stopped drinking for 4 months.
Yeah. And
then when I kind of started to reintroduce having a drink, I was in control of that then. And I would just have one drink like on a Friday or something like that. And it's great. With food, it's the same thing. It's, you know, I don't have to have chicken and rice every damn meal. If I want a burger and chips, I'm going to have it, but I'm not having it every meal. And that's a huge thing. And you know, we were talking the other day about my go-to meal now when I go through the airport is I'll go to Itsu and I'll have rice and chicken and the peas and the teriyaki sauce.
That was good.
You posted it. You were just like, yeah, I'm going to have this. And I'm just like, that's literally my go-to meal. And you're like, right. But would it have been 4 months ago? And the answer is absolutely not. It would have been something totally different. So it's that, what you've taught me is that mindset change of keeping everything in control.
Yeah.
And even and making those small changes and the small gains each day, you know, trying to get to 10,000 steps a day. You know, with one day I did 8,000, but the next day I did like 8,250 or 8,500. It's like, well, that's a step up. That's your next step. And it's like, yeah, okay, I don't feel crap that I'm not hitting 10,000 yet. I'm getting there. And it's all those little things, because I think we live in a world of instant gratification and instant 100%. Results. And that's not achievable. But if you can make the small steps each day, then that ultimately leads to a really good feeling inside as well, and a feeling of a small success every day. It's how you look at Ineos and Mercedes and, you know, what they do. And they talk about, you know, the marginal gains. And it's so true, because every one of them adds up. My mum always had a saying when we were kids, you know, we sort of, you know, there'd be 2p or 5 pence or something that we left on the floor. And
save your pennies.
Say, yeah, put that in your piggy bank. You know, I was only 5p, and she would say, look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves.
Yeah.
And that's always stuck with me. And I never thought about it from the perspective of health, or particularly mental health or physical health, or, you know, what you're eating, what you're doing. But it's so true. It's so true. Those little gains, those little parts,
it's funny.
They make all the difference.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think health and fitness is one of those ones where I don't know why still to this date that everyone thinks that it's a really fast thing. Because if we refer it to anything else in life, it's like, cool. So how long's a basic university degree? It's 3 years.
Yeah.
To get a piece of paper. And then we can refer it straight back to your career. Like, you've gone from this kid that absolutely loved Formula One to now, in my opinion, a very successful broadcaster, TV, everything, and to extremely well known. But I'm like, yeah, but if someone goes, oh, Will, how did you, like, if you had a kid come up to you and say, how'd you do that? You'd be like, bro, give it 20 years and just do everything for free and just keep like talking to people, opening up doors and things like that. That's literally what your answer would be, and just get better at your craft. So why is it with health and fitness we think, 6 weeks time I'll look like this? You're like, it's weird, isn't it?
But I think it's because there's an element that comes through, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or wherever it is,
all
of
of
people
it, yeah.
saying, here's your quick fix.
Yeah, always.
And if snake oil salesmen are telling you that, take this pill and it will burn your fat, you know, take this questionnaire and at the end of it you'll learn how to look like a Greek Adonis in 3 weeks, you know. Yeah. And the more you see those things, and the more you see, you know, the Instagrammable Photoshop photos of people who look perfect, the more you feel shit about yourself. But the more you think, oh, it's achievable, it's doable, I can do that, and there's a shortcut, and that's how I get there. And then it doesn't work, and you go, oh, well, this sucks, and then you get low. And so it's a pretty horrible cycle to get in, and it's very difficult to determine who's trustworthy and who's not, and who, you know, who isn't selling you a thing. I remember when we had our first chat, and we got to the end and you said, okay, now here's the bit that everybody hates. This is how much it's going to cost you. And I'm sitting there going, shit, it's going to be like 5 figures, you know, something like that. And when you, when you said like, okay, it's going to be this, I was just like, that's actually insanely reasonable. And it sounds now like I'm doing your sales pitch for you on the podcast, and that's not why I'm here. But I was like, okay, yeah, that actually sounds very, very reasonable. And then I knew you weren't there to rip me off. And you know, and we'd had a really good discussion, and everything I'd seen about it, I was like, okay, let's give it a go. And, you know, having the constant check-ins and knowing that you're at the end of the phone has been absolutely massive, particularly, you know, as we come out of COVID, and it's, you know, been so difficult to see people anyway. But also just little check-ins, just like, how you doing today, bud? And I'm just like, actually, I'm doing a bit shit, you know, or yeah, I'm having a really great day. Or like if you'd seen something I'd done and you'd be like, I saw, you know, your show this week and it was great, and, you know, brilliant. And the journey's been fantastic, because, you know, it's been, you know, you're a mate, and that's the biggest thing. But also it's been the understandings and the learnings and putting in place. And the one thing you said from the start is, this isn't let's get you an amazing body. It isn't let's get you fit. It's let's change the way that you think about so many facets and aspects of your life that will then transpose and carry on for the rest of your life. And, you know, I had a month in the middle of this where I did get to that point of, oh, fucking hell. And I missed a couple of days. And then by missing a couple of days, I'd missed a week. And then I missed a check-in and all this. And we got to the end of it and I said, I feel shit. I think I look shit. You know, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. And you were just like, okay, but look, all of the work you've done from the first 3 months, you haven't reversed that in this month. You know, did you eat crap? No, I didn't. Okay. Did you go out and go on a massive bender and get pissed every day? No, I didn't. Okay, great. So what were you eating? I told you what I was eating. Okay. How much were you walking? Okay, I was doing this. Okay. So, and as you said, it already shows that your mindset has shifted. Yeah. And even though I wasn't necessarily going to the gym every day or being as, you know, kind of on it with inputting with, you know, what I'm eating into
the fucking data
into
shit.
that bloody, you know, data sheets. Actually, the mind shift had already taken place, and that was huge. But also the other thing that I learned that was really interesting was I'd had a week where I've been working really hard and I hadn't eaten much because
you were eating like below 1,000 calories some days.
Yeah, well, way below. Like I wasn't having breakfast. I was having like nothing really for lunch, and then a little bit for dinner every day. And I'm like, look at me, I'm disgusting, I'm all fat. And you just went, whoa, how can you be fat? You're not eating anything. And I'm like, yeah, but I've got this bulge on my tummy. Like, look, it's stress, it's lack of sleep, it's, you know, it's gut health, it's all those things. That's where that comes from. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, okay.
Because
how can I be fat if I'm not eating?
It's true, yeah, because you went through that. It went through like a few weeks where there was a lot of other factors that came into play, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well. It's just like people have a life behind this fucking image, and people don't know that until they get to know you, right? Yeah. So it's like, actually, like we said, like your nutrition, everything was fine, but you were going through a lot of things. Like you were out in America, you had like everything going on back home and things like that. Yeah. So it was like, well, actually, like you're just stressed out your mind. I don't think people realize, especially when you've had anxiety as well to that level, that actually it affects everything. It affects your sleep. It affects all this sort of stuff. So actually just becoming healthier and more content in who you are, you're going to drop body fat because you're becoming a healthy individual. If you show me someone that looks healthy, they're not overweight.
Yeah.
So it's it. But like generally that's what's been nice about, because this is what I love as well. It's because like, you're probably the busiest person that I've ever worked with, like the most traveled. It's like, oh, bro, I'm here. Your diary is the next 6 months. So it's like, yeah, that's what we've done over like, right. When are we free? What can we do? And that's what
this is it. Because we've been in hotels, been locked down in the hotels, you know, different time zones. And that's a killer. And then being in a hotel and being like, okay, I'm not allowed out. There's a buffet and it's serving this. What do we eat? How do we make it work? Yeah. And looking at everything going, okay, I'm going to have that. I'm not going to have that sauce. I'm not going to have that. That's going to be fine. That's going to work. That's plain rice. That's great. Get some pasta there, get some meat, get some fish. It's all good. Thinking about how we can make it work. And what's been lovely is, you know, I get to a hotel, you know, like this I was up in the eaves of this old house in Belgium for the Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah, that one was so
remember? Good. And I sent you the video of where my room was, and I'm like, so what can we do in here? And you worked me out a training routine for that room. Yeah, it kept hitting my head as I was walking around it, and that was amazing, man, and that was lovely. So but again, it's, you know, it's picking that up of, okay, well, we're here, so what can we do? Yeah. Rather than, if I'd been just, you know, doing what I've been doing before, I would have just turned up and gone, right, okay, well, that's that done, and then go downstairs and have a burger and chips and see that one off. So it's been, honestly, man, it's funny because I feel like I'm quite driven in what I do with work, and I take the opportunities and I try to make it work, and I do what I love. But in terms of looking after myself, I don't think I've ever really done that. And these last 5 months have been a total turnaround, like an absolute revelation for me. And I needed it. You know, I turned 40 in February, and I look back at my photos from my 40th birthday, and honestly, I look like shit. And even on my lowest days during these last kind of 5 months, and I've gone, I don't think I'm looking great. You're like, you send me a photo, that first check-in photo I did, which was from the hotel in Austria over the Austrian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's where you started. That's where you are now. And that's the evidence of maintaining that process.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like coming down to it, like, okay, so that was, say, for like 4 months, right? And then, but I'm like, okay, cool. So how long have you been in your career for? So imagine what you'd look like even at 60, like 60 years old. Do you know what I mean? If you continue to progress at that rate. So it's just putting it all into like reality. That's all it comes down to.
And I think that's it. You know, I know that when we get to the end of our 6 months, I know that's not it, you know, because I will have got to a certain level, but I know I won't be ultimately where I want to be yet, because it's going to take time. You know, all these people that say you can be like this in 4 months, it's not, in 4 weeks, sorry, it's not real. It's just not real. But more than anything, I know that I will get there through just keeping it simple and keeping, you know, and the motivation ultimately comes from the knowledge that I'm doing what's good for me.
Yeah.
And
that you
and
give
I'm
yourself.
yeah, and I'm feeling better as a result. I'm more productive. I'm way happier. I'm less stressed. You know, I used to just lose it. Like any tiny thing, and I'm like, ah! And I'd want to, you know, smash my laptop, or, you know, if something, you know, because my mouse wasn't clicking right or whatever, you know, just throw it across the, all of that's gone.
Yeah.
Everything's gone, and all of that comes from just being better in your body, being better in your mind, and that's dude, that's, and honestly, that's come from you. You know, that's come from you giving me the tools to be able to actually work out for myself, well, what do I need? And, you know, I was at Le Mans, and that was long. It was long. It was long. That was, you know,
sums it up.
yeah, 24-hour race, up for the whole thing. Well, I got like 90 minutes sleep, but it was during, I think it was during the Sunday, so it had like 90 minutes sleep, you know, trying to do the whole 24 hours in one shoot. So it was like 36 hours of constant filming. And I pulled in, and just, I think I'd got like a half rotisserie chicken and some rice, and I took a photograph of it and I sent it to you, and I just said I needed fuel, and you're like, yeah, that's okay, you've got it, you've absolutely got it. And that was the moment, I think, where it all clicked, and why those days where I haven't eaten and I felt like shit, if I think about it like a car, you know, if I know I need to fuel myself to get somewhere.
Love this. Yeah. You put petrol in it.
Exactly. And if you run the car down till it's got no bloody petrol in it, and you try to run it, you know what happens? It sucks all the shit up through the engine, and the engine the engine clogs and stops working, because you've pulled all of that crap that exists at the bottom of the fuel tank. And that's why you stop working. Got to keep yourself fueled. You got to keep oil in the engine. You got to keep your tires full of air. You got to look after it. You got to look after yourself. And that otherwise you don't get anywhere.
And this is what we say about basics. I'm like, mate, Formula One, they've always had 4 wheels, and they've always been round for a long time.
Inside there was a couple of cars that had 6 wheels, but that's another conversation. That's
okay.
Conversation.
The simple that's it.
That's
simple.
Let's
overanalyze everything. But no, that's it. What's the mission for you then? So from a career point and a personal point, what's like goals for you kind of going into, well, to be fair, the new year, man, Christmas is around the corner.
Yeah.
So, like from career wise, where do you see, like, keep doing what you're doing, or
total world domination? I don't know.
That's the right answer. Yeah.
No. Honestly, I think the answer is the answer that I've always given for 20 years, which is just to keep enjoying it.
Perfect. And
I think that's ultimately the key. And, you know, so long as I've always said that I consider myself incredibly lucky to do this job, because I know there are millions of people around the world.
This is so, I hate the word lucky, so I'm going to take it well away from you.
Okay.
Definitely
but
not.
I mean,
yeah, grateful.
Privileged, yes.
Privileged and grateful.
Yes, I'm hugely grateful to do this. And I know, you know, the day that I walk through those paddock gates and I don't get that same smile on my face that I did the very first time is the day that I'll stop doing it, because there will be, you know, a million other people out there who are more worthy of doing that job if I'm no longer enjoying it. And I do love it, and I love everything that I do. So I just hope to be able to continue to do what I love, and I hope that what I do is something that people enjoy, and for as long as they're enjoying it, I hope I can keep, you know, all I've ever wanted to do is bring people along for the ride, you know, because I do consider it a huge privilege, and I know that people would love to do this too. So I've always seen my job as picking people up off the couch or wherever they are and saying, come with me, come and look at this is great, and this is really cool, and hey, you know, this is Charles Leclerc, come and have a chat with him, and introducing people to this wonderful sport.
And I think
that's
that's
my
one
personal goal, I think.
Yeah, I love that.
Professional goal anyway.
Yeah, and do you know what, man? Like that ticks every box for me, because obviously I didn't know who you were before this and things. I never watched anything, and it's obviously as soon as we started talking and then I started getting involved in your world, right? And then seeing Instagram, and then I watched the Netflix series and things like that, and I was like, but it was that, because I was just like, it was just how you spoke and the tone of voice that you used and the way that you held yourself and the way that you draw people in. It was coming from your heart. And it's kind of like what you said. It was just like, all I want to do is keep doing what I'm doing in 10 years time, but I just want to be 1% better.
Yeah.
And that's literally why, like, that's why we're here.
That's it. You learn with everything you do.
100%. And it's just like, if you look back at the last 2 years of your career, you could have thought, actually, it's gonna die because of lockdown, because you're like, well, I can't, the sport's over for 2 years or year sort of thing. But how did you push through, and you adapted and things like that, and vice versa, and you're still going out to the States, and it's
I think that's it. And it's what you say, you know, that 1%, I think it translates to everything. You know, if I look at what I do, you know, in my job, there isn't a broadcast I come out of where I haven't learned something, whether it's positive or negative. And that's that 1%. You're always learning. You have to learn. And that's what keeps you moving forward. Because if you stay static, or if you think, I'm where I need to be, you're done.
Yeah.
You're totally done. You can always move forward. You can always improve. And
100%.
I think that's absolutely key. But I think, you know, talking about sort of the professional and personal goals, you know, I came into this thinking, this is the body type that I want. But I'm getting to the end of this 6 months, realizing it's not about the body type. It's about this whole thing and feeling good in this. And I do, for the first time in longer than I can remember, mate. I feel good. Wow. I feel really good. And that's the biggest sort of thank you that I can give you is, you know, I kind of feel like I do TV and I'm in front of a camera, but I'm the least confident person in the world. And I've thought for years that I look like I'm getting emotional. I'm going to cry.
No, it's good, man.
I struggle with how people see me and what they think of me, and you know, because social media is an asshole.
Yeah.
But you know, through the journey that we've taken, I finally have this little bit of confidence that I've never had before, and I feel good. I feel really good, and that is, mate, that's everything. And you've given that to me, so
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
There you go. See, I'll cry now as well. So my job's
done.
No, that's it. And then personal, because obviously, like, what's good as well, because obviously you got a family and things like that. So is there anything personal you want to achieve? Obviously, like training, nutrition, we've covered that, but is there anything particular, like, I don't know, like anything you want to do with the families and things like that?
Oh God, I just want to, you know, again with the 1%, I want to keep being a better dad, keep being a better. Well, I'll be a husband next year. I'm marrying my fiance next year. So
did that actually get delayed with everything?
Yeah. We got engaged years ago. So
6 years ago at this stage.
So trying to organize all that through COVID is really hard. So we're getting married next year. So I'm really excited about that. But awesome. Just keep being a better son, better brother, better husband, as I will be, a better friend, because you know this
great answers, man.
I know I've not been I've not been as good a friend as I could be, because I've always been traveling and away, and I've missed so many things that I should have been here for. But I think being a better dad is the most important thing of all to me. But you say, just, you know, keep making those steps forward and keep learning.
That's it. No, mate, absolutely amazing. I won't take too much of your time because it's been amazing. So if you can give someone one piece of advice now that will take them 1% further forward tomorrow, what would that be?
Oh, from a training perspective, or from
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
So the one piece of advice that if sometimes people ask me, like, I really want to do what you do, how do I get there? How do I do it? The one piece of advice that I would always give is to be true to yourself. There are so many people out there that we look up to, and sometimes we think that we need to be them or be like them, and we fail to realize that what we have inside us is the thing that marks us out, the thing that makes us unique. There's only one of you.
Yeah.
So don't try and have someone else's voice. Don't try to look like someone else and try to act like someone else, you know? Be you. Be uniquely, brilliantly you, because you're the only person that can do that. And that makes you special. And that's what makes you stand out. Find your voice and use your voice. Find what you believe in, find who you are, and live that life as faithfully as you can.
I love that. Absolutely amazing, bud. Yeah, like, yeah, phenomenal podcast. Absolutely amazing. And where can people find you? Obviously, if they want to stalk you, check you out.
Yeah, please do. I'm on Formula One's sort of official digital content. So on the F1 app and F1 TV, I'm all over Instagram and the Twitters and all that at W Buxton Official. Buxton official, W Buxton, and new series of Netflix Drive to Survive. Catch up on all 3 seasons that currently exist. Go and binge them on Netflix. 4th season should be out before the start of the 2022 season.
When is it? Have you got a date for that yet? Or is
no,
it
so it normally comes out in the weeks leading up to the start of the new season. So it should be out February or March 2022 for season 4.
Okay, cool. So not long. Yeah, not long at all.
Not long at all, mate.
Damn, honestly, bud, absolutely amazing to have you on board and appreciate it.
But and Motorsport TV as well. I almost forgot. I have a series on Motorsport. Motorsport.com, motorsport.tv. All the plugs. All the plugs.
That's what, to be fair, it's probably the best plugs in the world. Where can you find me? Formula One.
Yeah.
Just you're like, oh shit. Okay, right. Yeah. Amazing. Honestly, bud, absolutely amazing, bud. And I'll probably speak to you literally in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'll be sending you photographs of me in my pants in a couple of days. So
perfect. Awesome, man. Perfect.
Thanks, mate.
No worries.
Cheers.